You don't have to be brilliant at everything. In fact, you only have to be brilliant at a very few things in your business to make the money that you want to make and get the time that you want to have in your life. Welcome to the Treat Your Business podcast, the show for clinic owners who want real, honest advice and tried and tested ways of doing things. I'm Katie Bell, clinic owner, best-selling author, physiotherapist and business mentor. And after 150 episodes, I know this. Running a clinic is about getting more freedom, flexibility, money and time, as well as impacting your clients' health and wellness. After 150 episodes, we're celebrating a new era of the podcast, bigger insights, bolder conversations, and everything you need to know to grow a clinic and a life you love. So let's dive in. Hi, and welcome back to the Treat Your Business podcast. We are following on from last week's Beyond the Treatment Room episode, where I was really talking about how we define success and what success means to each and every one of you, knowing that for all of you listening to this, success will look very different. And so we can't compare and we can't try and chase somebody else's version of success. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think can change the way you run your clinic and maybe even the way you feel about your business. And we are going to be talking about playing to your strengths. Now, as a clinic owner, you wear loads of hats, don't you? One minute you're treating clients, the next minute you're pretending to be the marketing manager. I say pretending in, because I know that's what we all try and do with marketing. Then you're the HR department. Then you're suddenly IT support because the Wi-Fi's gone down, and the list just goes on and on. But here's the truth. You don't have to be brilliant at everything. In fact, you only have to be brilliant at a very few things in your business to make the money that you want to make and get the time that you want to have in your life. So the fastest way to grow your clinic, to make more money, to get more time back, to feel more confident, to protect your energy, is to lean into what you're naturally really good at and build support around the rest. And whether you are a clinic owner who is just starting out, or whether you are a multi-six-figure, seven-figure clinic owner, this is for wherever you're at. You can start small, you can go big, you can get more and more people, you can outsource more and more of those things. So you are ultimately only doing the things that are in your zone of genius. So in today's episode, I'm going to explore why your strengths really matter, how to identify them, how to design your business so you spend more time in your strength zone or your zone of genius and less time tearing your hair out over the things that drain you. This always reminds me when I talk about drains on you. What are they called? The Dementors in Harry Potter. For those of you who are massive Harry Potter fans, you're going to know what I'm talking about here. Eleanor Finn, if you're listening to this episode, one of our long-time Thrive members, she is a massive Harry Potter fan. And she will know exactly what I'm talking about here. They swoop round and they suck the soul out of people. This is what it's like in your business when you are dealing with patients that suck the soul out of you, and when you are doing things in your business that you shouldn't be doing. It's like a drain. I want to take you back to being at school. And when you were at school, the well-rounded individual was often the one that was celebrated. It was the one that was good at sport, but also good at study. It was the person that excelled in lots of different things that often was then head girl or head boy or captain of this or whatever it was. Those that were very good at one subject, like a maths genius or somebody that's great at piano or something, they really weren't celebrated as much as those people in the middle. And those that were on the other end that were naughty individuals because they weren't having the opportunity to just lean into what they're really good at, and they're being forced into our archaic school system to do it all, were the ones that they weren't looked at either. And I was this person. I was the person in the middle. I worked my backside off to be a well-rounded person. I explored every opportunity. I said yes to everything. I played every sport going. I was doing the piano. I was dancing. I was playing sports. I wanted to be top of the class in everything. I was studying really hard. I had a job as a carer for somebody with MS from the age of 14. And I was just trying to be everything to everybody and be great at it all. And then honestly, by A-levels and university and even my early career experiences only seemed to reinforce that belief. I was endlessly pursuing a variety of opportunities. I was always trying to bolster my experiences, and I was always trying to improve my weaknesses, because that's what the system teaches us, isn't it? And if only the school system wasn't so archaic, Maybe I would have learned earlier that success doesn't come from being well-rounded. Yes, you could have a level of success by being great at lots of different things, but it comes from knowing what you're brilliant at and really leaning into it. Can you imagine that person at school who was maybe really good at design technology, but because we only spent an hour a week on it at school, they were then mucking about in all the other sessions because they were bored by them, they didn't excel at them. Can you imagine if we were allowing those children to really lean into what they're absolutely amazing at? And yeah, okay, not all children know what they're absolutely amazing at, but there are certain things that bring them joy, that they absolutely love, that we should be allowing them to do more and more of, rather than forcing them into a physics class, in my experience, or a maths class. Yes, I needed to have a certain level of maths to get to be a physio and to get to where I am today. But I certainly did not need to know trigonometry and Pythagoras' theorem. However, knowing what you're brilliant at, leaning into it, it's the same in business. When you're stuck in your weaknesses all day, it's like wading through treacle. When you're operating in your strengths, you get energy, you see results, you actually enjoy it. When you're operating in your strengths, everything feels lighter. You get energy instead of feeling like you're losing it, bigger results because you're doing the work you're naturally wired to do. And guess what? It can bring you joy. We might actually enjoy the process, therefore, of pursuing our goals. But when you're stuck in your weaknesses all day, it's like wading through treacle and you procrastinate, you get frustrated. How many of you are listening to this and you're still not doing the things on your to-do list? Well, it's probably because the things on your to-do list are not in your zone of genius. And yes, we all have moments in our business when we have to be like all in and we have to be doing stuff that we're not really great at doing. But the quicker that you can lean into what you're great at and get rid of the stuff that you're not great at doing, the quicker your business will grow. You will accelerate your way to whatever success looks like for you in the season of your life that you're in right now. If you want to know more about what I mean by the season of your life, go back to last week's episode. Humans are biased towards negativity. It's kind of like a hangover from our hunter-gatherer days when spotting risks was essential for survival. However, focusing on our weaknesses leads to losing our confidence, really low self-belief, and we often pursue activities that are not aligned with our own definition of success. Accepting your own weaknesses and having no desire to fix it can be a game changer. When I was preparing the script for this week's episode, script in the loosest possible term, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to list like what I class as my weaknesses and the things that I have absolutely no desire to fix. Number one, stacking the dishwasher. I probably have mentioned on this podcast before that I stack it like I'm on drugs, and my husband stacks it like he's playing Tetris. And this is a almost probably daily conversation of feedback from him about the way that I have put something into the dishwasher. And I have no desire to be any better at it, because when I empty the dishwasher and if things are not done, I just stick another tablet in. So stacking the dishwasher is one of my big weaknesses. Reading anything with detail in is another one of mine. I'm just not going to do it. If you send me a big long email, I'm going to skim read it at best. If you CC me into something, I'm probably not going to read that either. I don't require the detail to be able to move forwards and make decisions. Sometimes, yes, we do, but most of the time I don't. So reading anything with detail in is not great. We had a situation in our household this week where my husband was booking holidays for 2026. How exciting. And he said to me, right, he does all the research. He's very diligent. He reads everything, all the descriptions, gets all of the stuff that you need to do to make a decision. And he says, you need to decide between this hotel on the Palm and this hotel in Abu Dhabi. Okay. So I just opened both on my phone. I looked at the pictures and I was like, well, they both basically look the same. We've been to the one on the Palm. Let's do Abu Dhabi for a bit of a change. And he was like, you've made that decision in 3 seconds. Have you actually looked at any of the pictures? Have you looked at any of the detail other than the pictures? And I said, no, I just looked at the pictures and the pictures basically look the same. If you can hear weird noises in the background, it is my baby. Alfie is 6 weeks old. He was a monkey and late, so now I have podcast episodes to record because I'd got everything up to date as long as he was on his due date. That was my first error. Anyway, just ignore that. And this is why I'm not even in my recording studio today. I am sat in my kitchen.
So I made a decision that we were going to go to the one in Abu Dhabi based on the pictures. And my husband said to me, you've literally read nothing. I'm not going to. So that is weakness number 2. Number 3, cooking. I can cook. Like, I love hosting. I don't like cooking. I can cook if I need to, but I just don't enjoy it. Like, I will cook something and then not want to eat it. Does anybody else ever get that feeling? Because it's just been just an arduous thing to have to get on the table. I've then lost the love for the food that I've actually cooked. I have no desire to get any better at cooking or to do any more of it, especially when the likes of HelloFresh and Gusto and my husband are around. Number 4, reading instruction manuals. Not going to do that either. I am going to be the person that it says this job is for 2 people. And I think, no, it'll be fine. I'll just do it. 5, researching things. Have I said that? Yeah, reading anything in detail, researching things, not going to do it. Number 6, process-driven stuff. Like onboarding, training, following process. Boring. Not going to do that either. Writing SOPs. Not interested really in doing that. In fact, I've actually banned Nicola from talking to me about SOPs because SOP is a word that she uses almost in every other sentence. And I told her, please don't use that word anymore in front of me. It's said with jest, but she is absolutely in her zone of genius there. I am definitely not. Number 7 was thinking far into the future. Often these books are like, where do you want to be in 10 years? And I'm like, whoa, hold on a sec, honey. I'm literally just living for this year. Like, I've got loads of plans. I'm really focused. I kind of have a rough idea of where the business is going in 3 and 5 years, like top level. But 10 years, who knows? When I first started my clinic, I loved the vision side of things. I could see opportunities. I could rally people around ideas. I was brimming with energy about where we were going, but asked me to sit down and build an operations manual, not going to do it. Reconcile the bank accounts in Xero, not going to do it. Let's just say those things then didn't happen. I'd put it off, I'd stress about it. And when I finally forced myself to do it, I was drained. And it was the job that I would do last, late at night, when probably, because I was not very good at it, needed to be the first thing I did in the day when I had more energy. And things really changed for me really quickly, which is why we went from 0 to 6 figures within our first year of trading, because I brought people in whose strengths complemented mine, and I quickly identified what needed to be shifted. And yeah, at the time I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford this. On paper, you never think you could afford anything. I got a bookkeeper who actually really enjoyed making the numbers balance. Weird. Suddenly, the business was running more smoothly. I was back in my zone. I was able to lead, teach, motivate, and drive the clinic forward. So my first reflective question for you is, what are the things in your clinic that light you up and give you energy? What are the things that drain you, that make you sigh the second they hit your to-do list? Or the things that are still on your to-do list, because that gives you all of the information that you possibly need. But how do we spot our strengths? Now, there's loads of different ways that we can do this. There's loads of different tests that you can do. But here's a really simple exercise. Take a sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, and on one side write strengths and on the other side write struggles. And jot down the 3 things you do best. The 3 things you would happily do all day. The things the team would probably say, yep, Katie, that is your superpower. Then on the other side, write the 3 things that frustrate you the most. The things that you put off, the things that you secretly hope no one ever asks you about. For me, my strengths are coaching, vision. It's about rallying the team, leading. Struggles might be HR compliance forms, IT troubleshooting, reconciling bank accounts, writing SOPs. The list is lengthy. I would rather clean the clinic toilets than reconcile my bank accounts. Think about what roles you tend to slip into as well. Like, think about what did you enjoy as a child, or what did you do more of when you were younger? What positive feedback do you often receive from people? Like, I get told all the time that I'm ridiculously organized, which is wild for somebody that is so low detail in a lot of aspects of my life. But I am super organized, super planned, and I don't want any drama or hustle. So everything is planned in advance to the nth degree, including all of my cupboards and everything like that, and all of my wardrobe, so that I don't have to make loads of decisions every day about what I'm going to wear or how things are all going to work. Everything's just super organized. People tell me that all the time. What positive feedback do you get? What do you receive from your clients, from your friends, from your family? And if you're not sure, because lots of us really struggle to identify our strengths, it feels really awkward and a bit icky, doesn't it, to like say what we're really good at? But text or email 5 people and kind of have a variety of those people, like maybe some family members, some friends, maybe some work colleagues, and ask them to describe you in 5 words. And if this makes you feel weird, like just put, so I was listening to a podcast today and I was challenged by the podcaster to send this text message. So I'm doing it. You don't need to give an explanation. You can just ask them this and look what the 5 words are that they send them back. And this is going to really help you lean into and understand what your strengths are. For clinic owners, common strengths that I tend to see are visionary, like the big picture thinkers, patient-facing care, always, the clinicians who absolutely love being in the treatment room. Those that, I guess this is also maybe a strength and a weakness. People leadership often is what they're great at, but they don't allow themselves the time to really lean into those strengths and develop those strengths. They think it is a weakness, but it's more that they are afraid of the confrontation or they're afraid of the conflict. They don't know how to do it. They haven't got the skills there yet because they weren't taught it. Those who like thrive on telling stories and connecting with people. And then we also have those that geek out over processes and structure and systems. And like Jodie, one of our coaches, I'm going to pick on you. Jodie is so systemized in her approach to how she does things in her clinic. Like if there's a way to automate and get a bit of IT to do it, Jodie's going to be the one to do that. She's so detailed when it comes to like patient retention, follow-ups, knowing her numbers. Who would have thought this, Jodie? However many years on, when we first met at Therapy Expo, she is super diligent on all of this sort of stuff. A very different leader to how I lead, but we both lean into our strengths in a very different way. So if you're listening, be honest. Which of all of those strengths that I've talked about feels like your zone of genius? Which one makes you feel alive? This is where your focus should be. So once you've identified your strengths, here's the key. You've got to then design your business around them and you've got to connect with them. So if your strength is strategy or vision, you need an integrator, also known as a practice manager. But an integrator technically is a level above a practice manager, someone who can take your ideas and make them happen. If your strength is patient care, then you probably shouldn't be bogged down in marketing or payroll. You need systems, automation, people who can handle that. If your strength is teaching and inspiring, then lean into workshops, group classes, speaking in your clinic. Find someone else to take the one-to-one aspect of things if you hate them. I worked with a clinic owner who really hated that one-on-one kind of bring you in, assess you, and then discuss or like show you that plan of care and what that needed to look like. She was just awkward. She couldn't get herself over some of those beliefs that were holding her back having that conversation. So she never had the conversation. She put it off, her conversion rate was low, and it was holding back her growth. But watching her teach a group, she was like in her element. So we flipped it. Her team handled all the one-to-one stuff. She delivered the workshops that naturally just generated leads. And within months, her conversion had improved, her stress had dropped, and she was spending her time in her strength zone. So ask yourself this: if you could spend 80% of your time on your strengths, what would need to change first in your business? Is it hiring? Is it outsourcing? Is it just saying no to certain things that actually bring you no joy whatsoever? Societal and cultural expectations might make the task of identifying and owning your strengths really feel like a struggle. It might also be that your strengths have been spoken about as weaknesses. For example, somebody who's really sociable and can connect. I remember actually, in fact, a member of ours was telling me about one of her therapists she's like, sometimes there's too much conversation going on in the treatment room and she's too personable. Can you be too personable? You know what I mean? There's a level of professionalism, isn't there? But this Thrive member is a green, and she felt like her therapist, who's a yellow, was too chatty, too personable. And I agree that there's a level of professionalism there, but I really needed her to see from a yellow's perspective, it's very different to a green's perspective. And you will behave in a different way. And yes, there are standards. Yes, there is a level of professionalism that we need to adhere to. But actually, how is this impacting her work? How is she showing up? Her conversion rate was good. Her retention rate was good. The green business owner found it quite hard to handle because she was very full of energy. But I was like, use it. Use that. My point here I'm making is she thought that maybe this was a weakness, but actually this was this girl's strength. And we really needed to lean into that. And she became like the person that was really great at developing that community feel, getting patients on board, converting, retaining those clients, like use that strength. The other tool that you can use that we use in Thrive, when you become a member of Thrive, we do two things. We do many things, but one of the first initial things we do is we get you to do the Clifton Strength Finder, which is a Gallup test. And we also get you to do your colour test. This helps us do a few things, really lead you into where your zone of genius is to help you offload, implement, automate, systemize, strategize. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm just throwing it in there. And also to see how you behave, what your personality is like, so we can coach you and we can support you in the right way that's going to really align with you, with how you do things. So the Clifton Strength Finder, I think there might be a 34 test, 34 strengths, 1 and a 5. You just need to do the 5. Gives you your top 5 strengths. It's about 20 quid, $20 maybe. If you haven't done it, do it and get all of your team to do it. Now, it won't make a huge amount of sense to you outside of our world because we really help you understand what strengths mean, what your team strengths are. We plot them on a spreadsheet so that we can then really see where your gaps are. But there's lots of assets out there that you can read and you could find out a little bit more about this, or you could ask ChatGPT and that will tell you. So the Clifton Strength Finder is something that I use a lot and I really recommend. Playing to your strengths isn't a luxury, it's a necessity if you want to build a clinic that doesn't burn you out. So today we've talked about why strengths really matter, because when you're in your zone, everything feels lighter, everything feels more effective. How to spot your strengths by being honest about what gives you energy and what drains you. How to design your business around those strengths by delegating, outsourcing, structuring your diary so you're not trying to be brilliant at everything. And we do a exercise in Thrive in one of our live days where we have 4 boxes and we split those up into what you're excellent at, zone of genius, absolutely love, what you're good at, or like better than good. You're really proficient at it. You're probably really good at it, but it's not like your zone of genius. What you're good at, so you can do it, but you really hate doing it, and what you absolutely are not good at doing. And we make you plot your kind of week's worth of tasks into those. And we really start to iron out what gives you energy, what drains you, where you need to be delegating and outsourcing first. It's going to make the biggest difference to your life and your business straight away. So your action step this week, everybody, is to create your strengths and struggles list. Write down 3 strengths, 3 struggles. Choose one struggle, make a plan to remove it, delegate it, outsource it, or just drop it. Just stop doing it. Your weaknesses aren't flaws. They're just someone else's strengths waiting to be added to your team. Thank you as ever for joining me on the Treat Your Business podcast. I hope it sounded seamless. I have a small baby that I have fed twice during this episode and moved about 60 billion times from his bouncer to his pram and back again. So just bear with me if it wasn't quite as seamless as usual, but I'm sure my team are going to make that all be fabulous in the background. If this episode gives you some light bulb moments, please share it with another clinic owner who might need the reminder, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. But for now, make sure you just lean into your strengths. Don't try and fix your weaknesses, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Treat Your Business podcast. If you're ready for more real, honest advice and proven ways to run a clinic that gives you freedom, flexibility, more money and time, then hit subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next episode.